listen to the applicants. We hear their presentations. We have questions from the committee. And then we ask for comments and questions from members of the community. And then we will take a vote. Our vote is only a recommendation to the full board, which is meeting this coming month, March 2nd. We always meet the first Wednesday of the month. And then the full board in turn accepts or modifies our recommendation and sends it on to the SLA, New York State. Just to be clear, we do not have authority to grant liquor license. That authority only is with the New York State Liquor Authority. My name is Bert Lazarin. I am co-chair of the committee. And I'd like everyone else to introduce themselves. Right?
I am Frank Halazubiak, the other co-chair.
Twee Pham member.
Wendy Gonzalez, committee member.
Candace Hewitt, committee member.
Tina Nelson.
Mike Noble. Whoop, sorry.
Sorry.
Mike Noble, committee member. Go ahead.
Inge
Rob
Ivchenko.
Sorry
Inge
about that.
Ivchenko. Sorry. Inge Ivchenko, public member.
Theodore Arenas, committee member.
Jesse Greenwald, committee member.
Peggy Coe, committee member.
Tina, you want to go again?
I'll be happy to. Tina Nelson, committee member. Thanks.
Okay. So we have an agenda.
But wait, just a couple of things, Bert. So
Oh, yes.
pursuant to the legislation that lets us meet virtually, this meeting is being live streamed and will be up on video on the YouTube Community Board 4 station. So everyone keep that in mind when making your remarks tonight. And agenda item 3 is withdrawn. So that will not be heard tonight. It's a withdrawn, not a postponement. They're going to evidently stepping back to reevaluate their plans. So we raised some zoning issues about whether what they want to do is permissible at that location. So they going to take some time to work that through.
Okay. So we have now 8 items on the agenda. And I'd like to start the way, if you're not familiar with this, the way we have the agenda arranged, we do it by category. So category 1 is people who are applying for wine, beer, and cider licenses. Number 1 on the agenda is 425 West 15th Street, Day Drinks, Chelsea. They're proposing to operate 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. to midnight. Is the applicant here?
I don't see Mike Kelly, the lawyer. I don't know if the applicant's here. Doesn't look like it.
Okay, we'll come back to item number 1. Item number 2, 315 West 46th Street, Kim and Wei Holdings. Hours of operation, again, 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay, the applicant is
Yes.
here. But sir, do you want to, is your lawyer representative here? Do you want to wait or do you want to go forward now? You need to unmute.
This is for Kim and Wei Holdings LLC.
Hi.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm the attorney for the applicant.
Oh, you are the applicant. I didn't see you there. Okay, thank you.
And then my
Go
class
right
here
ahead.
too, yes.
Go right ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, I raised my hand. Sorry.
So go, talk to the application, please.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you, everybody, to appear this meeting. So this is for a beer, wine, and the cider. And then this is my client's second location. They just opened one in Brooklyn, and then look like a very good, so we hopefully bring this restaurant to the community. So basically this restaurant is for like a ramen noodles, different kinds, and then with their special recipes. So this one only for open from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. and then there was no sidewalk, and then everything should be indoor. So they've been running the business for the restaurant. They're very experienced, and then so the other restaurant they open is very popular, and then very successful. Hopefully, this one gonna do the same.
All right, thank you. So for the committee, this had been previously licensed as most recently a pretty raucous bar called Bottoms Up, but both Bottoms Up and the place before it had a 4 a.m. license. So this is a real cutback. But there were a lot of noise problems with Bottoms Up, and they did a lot of soundproofing. So I'm hopeful that will suffice for a much quieter establishment. Alice, the prior operator had 2 floors, the ground floor and the second floor. Is your client only on the ground floor?
Yes. Even though our lease is for the second floor, first floor, if you call basement, because we only use the ground floor and the basement for the liquor purpose, for the restaurant. Because
Okay.
the second floor, I think the one you mentioned, they use as like a bubble tea, so bubble tea only. Yeah.
Okay. So it won't be licensed. There'll be no alcohol on the second floor.
No, the second floor won't.
Okay, I'm just going to include a stipulation to say that there'll be that the second floor is not licensed and there'll be no alcohol service there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then the other thing on page 2, on the occupancy numbers, I'm wondering if your C of O is wrong, the number of your certificate of occupancy is wrong, or are you going to try to get that changed? Because you have maximum capacity as 109, but then the C of O, you have only 49.
Yes, this one I can explain because we have a certificate of occupant on file, and then it shows on the basement, I think, which is the ground level. They use a different term, but really refer to the ground level. So that is for eating and drinking. And then, on this certificate of occupant, it shows me 109 people, the maximum. So, but actually, for my clients, the restaurant, they only have us 49 seats. So,
so maybe the numbers are different. So the C of O should be 109. Is that what you're saying? The certificate of occupancy says 109.
Did I do opposite?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will reverse those.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Okay.
C of O, is that all 3 floors? The second floor, the first floor, and the basement?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes.
Okay. You are the applicant?
Yes. Good evening.
Hello.
That's all I have, Bert.
Any people from the committee? I just saw a hand raised. Yes. Tui and then Christine.
Yes, hi. I wanted to know how the committee felt if there is a pass-through. Is there access from the first floor to the second floor? The question being, do people who have the beer and wine, they can travel to the bubble tea spot, and people with bubble tea travel to the, first floor, which is not as important?
No, absolutely not. And they could get in trouble if they let people take liquor to an unlicensed portion of the premises. But that's up to the applicant to enforce.
Yeah, there is
Okay.
no access because there is maybe a door between, but that is only for the employees. the customers from outside, they have no access. If they go to the first floor, they have to go, from the front door to the second floor, so to the first floor. Yeah, so that is separate. There is no chance they're gonna go through the bubble tea to the restaurant or restaurant to the bubble tea store. Yeah.
Okay, and then the only other question I have is on page 14 and 15 with the photos, where it does show the prior establishment called Bottoms Up, where it has those two black boxes where it has a signs restaurant space available. Are you keeping those black boxes? I don't know how else to call them.
I'm sorry, what are the black boxes?
They look, it's on page 14 and 15. It's the photo of the Bottoms Up where it says restaurant space available, and they look to be makeshift awnings or coverings. I don't know if it's just to make the sign more visible or if that's part of the establishment.
Oh, are you seeing the black boxes like outside the ground floor?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I think that's the one, during the winter time, they temporarily build up for, preventing the winds blowing in and make it too cold, for the customers. Yeah, but in the future, we're going to take it off though.
Okay.
Good, Sui?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Christine?
Yes, Frank, if I don't know whether 109 is the occupancy for the whole place, but if they are licensing only a portion of it, should we reflect that portion only?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. To the applicant, could you fill out and send to us page 3 of the form where you just have the capacity for every floor?
Yes, yeah, I can, submit
Okay.
the page 3.
Yeah, and Nellie, when do you need that? Can you get it to it? Go ahead, Nellie.
21st.
Sorry?
The 21st.
We can't hear you.
The 25th?
21st.
21st. Okay. So by February 21?
Okay.
And then tell us what the C of O is for each floor as well, particularly the licensed floors.
Sure, yeah, I will list it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the committee? If not, anybody from the community have, want to speak, have a hand up, Nellie? No?
I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
I don't see Mike Kelly yet, so I guess we should go
On to
forward.
number 4. Okay, we're now in the second section. These are applications for alterations of existing procedures and procedures and operation methods for establishments. Number 4 is 568 9th Avenue, the Clinton Craft.
So we will.
Evening, I'm Ravi
excuse us, right?
Sharma.
Wait, one at a time, please. I'm sorry. Alice?
I said that we will excuse us, so then I will leave this meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you,
Let's
and
meet you.
good luck with
Okay,
good luck with your venture.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ravi Sharma. I represent Clinton Craft. I'm the attorney.
Mr. Sharma, before you get started, I should say we got a request from the 49th to 54th Street Block Association that you postpone a month to try to do some community outreach with them and others. And I guess I'll just state my view on this, given what your client's seeking to do here, 4 a.m. close with all sorts of entertainment in a place that hasn't been licensed. I do think, it'd be to your advantage to try to do some reaching out to the community. But we're happy to proceed how you'd like to.
Is it possible that you can and then what's the name of what's the block association again?
It's a person named Steve Belida, Belida, and it's HK 49-54 Block Alliance. And that's basically their email, hk5051@gmail.
Okay. Well, I'd like to speak to my client. I mean, listen, I think that's the request is being made in good faith. We did obviously put out the notice to everyone on the list many days ago, and I did not hear back from anybody, but nonetheless, I know that my client doesn't have a now the thing is that it's 49 to 54th Block Alliance. Does that count for 40th Street? I mean, because it doesn't seem like it's that close to this location, is it?
They are probably one of the two most active block associations on 9th Avenue because they believe that what happens on 9th Avenue, within sort of 10 blocks in either direction really affects quality of life for everyone around. So it does. But I also have a couple of questions. It looks like you're trying to combine 2 floors. You're going to have something on the 2nd floor as well, the smaller.
Yeah, I have Jimmy Carboni here, who's the principal, and he could speak to that. I'm looking at the diagram.
Let me just tell you a couple issues I have.
Sure.
One is if you are combining them, whether that makes you necessary to have a public assembly permit, whether your capacity therefore is going to go above 74. And
the 2 floors were always there.
Yeah, but one was a store. I don't think they were ever combined. And I honestly don't know the answer to that. If you combine 2 floors, is it considered, do the capacities add up for purposes of determining if you need a public assembly?
That's a great question. I know that each floor can have its own, under 74 letter of no objection, for example, but it also has to do with egress. So
right.
If they have their own separate entities, they can have their own capacity.
Right. So that's one issue. Another issue, and then another one I saw is you correctly note that you're in use group 12 and therefore can have dancing. But as I read the zoning ordinance, you also need sort of the waiting space of 4 feet per person if you're gonna have dancing. And I'm not sure how you would accommodate that here. I'm not sure I'm right about that, but again, I just
right. Right. So one thing is that this in terms of the numbers, we're not seeking an occupancy greater than 74. So I think that moots out whether or not there is an actual occupancy of 74 per floor. Like we're not seeking a greater than 74 occupancy at all, because if we were, we'd have to get a PA permit. So that's that point. As to the dancing issue, I do recall that rule for when good old cabaret laws. But we could check into that. But if necessary, it's a small place, so it's the idea that there's going to be much patron dancing is actually kind of almost nil. But that is the zoning for the location.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, these are just some things I noted off the top of my head. I think there are a few things like that. My sense is you need to think through. Just how this is going to operate. It's a very crowded block over there with a lot of storefronts. Right. It's never been licensed. It was a coffee store, quiet coffee store. I think you're probably going to want to get an acoustic report. So,
well, I know that my client's truly not seeking patron dancing, is more interested in employee dancing.
True, but you're also seeking, in terms of noise, you're seeking live music, a DJ, jukebox. It's going to be a noisy place.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, noise has to be noise issues have to be dealt with and remediated. There's no question that is all is part and parcel of any location that's going to have any kind of music.
Right. And I know you gave us a 1 page on what you want to do, but at least my view on this is we really would need a report from an acoustic firm talking about whether this soundproofing is going to be adequate. And I think you probably need to look into, security and just how you're going to manage that sidewalk. Because I don't know if you've been by there, and Christine, I know, lives relatively nearby, but
He has a
it's
question.
unpassable at a lot of times of the day and night.
Frank, I have a question, and Christine has a question. You threw out the phrase employee dancing. I'd like to know what that means.
That could mean a go-go boy.
That's what I was wondering. I didn't know
Yeah.
exactly what it meant.
I mean, it could be as simple as that. It also could be, if there's a show, but there's actors or dancers performing, that doesn't mean that the audience or the patrons are dancing. So that's what that means. It runs the gamut.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Christine and then Rob.
Yes, Mr. Sharma. I have two questions. One is, even though we are not reviewing, that you may want to get information on, is what happened on 7th Street?
What
You
do
are
you mean?
transferring from 7th Street, I think. That's the information.
Did they ever open there?
Are they open?
Did they ever open?
Of course. It's been open for
okay.
years. Yeah. No, it's been open for years.
Because
Community Board 3.
Community Board 3 knew they had recommended approval, but was under the impression you had never opened.
I can defer to my client who's here. They're still there. I'm hearing.
No. I think what Community Board 3 is talking. I see what the ambiguity may be. They approved your expansion into this method of operation in November 2020. So maybe that never went into effect. Because that would have been mid-pandemic.
Correct. They've been doing private events since June. I know that. They're still there. As I said, I have a principal here. But as I understand it, the lease requires soundproofing. And it's not, again, like any sound system is going, I know that my client's letting me know that there's no subwoofer as part of the sound system. And it says that, the soundproofing, there's a soundproofing page, which is pretty expensive in the package.
That was not, I'm sorry, but that was not my question. I was not talking about soundproofing. I just wanted to know what happened on 7th Street. So
I don't understand what you mean by what happened. It's an ongoing
business. Because it looks like it's
I can answer if you. I want me to answer, Ravi?
Please.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Jimmy. This is Jimmy. He's a principal.
Hi, Jimmy Carboni. So I was originally in the space on 7th Street since 2005 as a previous license, and we always had a performance element going on in parties. We had drag ukulele cabarets and a really great community of just what we're going to bring here. We never had over occupancy or anything. It's more about like embracing performing artists. We had original theater groups and a lot of other things. I think for this one, Cocktail on 9th Avenue, again, there won't be more than 74 people. It's more about there'll be just different programming each night. It's definitely gay friendly, and it's like everything performing arts, but we love it. And, we still have friends from the ukulele cabaret shows and other things that have been working with me in this space since 2005. But then, so this one now, so this one, we've been licensed since 2019, and we've been open for like little private events here and there. That beginning of the pandemic was really hard, but we still have, some private events that are going on. The one reason we want to move, one is that, because of the pandemic, we really weren't able to really be as open in terms of like promoting and everything as we would have. The other part is just that the landlord has not really been as amenable to working with us. We had a lot of trouble paying the rent during the pandemic, and we're looking at other spaces. I also looked at a space in Williamsburg where a friend of mine owns. So we've been looking at other locations since the fall, just because of what happened in the pandemic. And then just to note, like the Clinton Craft LLC has been licensed going back at least like 6 years, and there's never been any issues with operating. And before that, with my Jimmy's number 43 back to 2005, never had any issues with operations of any kind. And we've got a lot of experience just with the private events, entertainment, and all that. And it's always been part of our business model. I think this is the first time we're going in with that as leading, but it really was a big part of what I was doing at Jimmy's number 43 since 2005. So
okay, so Jimmy, just so I'm clear, so you opened in 2005 this Jimmy's place at 4143 East 7th, correct?
Yes.
And then in 2019 you sort of rebranded it.
Yeah, there was some overlap where we changed that one business, and this Clinton Craft became that space. And in 2019 we got transferred the license that was there from Clinton Craft, and honestly, I had to close for a minute because of some health issues. I was in the hospital in 2018, so that's when Clinton Craft came in and has really been supportive of me. So, I'm more of the culinary guy, creative person. A lot of the community of the performers are my friends. We just want to have a nice place where people can gather, and more people have moved to the west side in the last 5 years. We used to have a lot more of this going on in the East Village, and the neighborhood really changed a lot. So I wanted to be in the west side for a while.
Okay. So everyone, this is a removal. So everyone on the Clinton Craft current license would be on the 9th Avenue license?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I mean, again, in my view, this is a major expansion to go from a coffee store to a place that's open till 4 a.m. every night. Did someone else want to speak?
Frank, I have one more question, Frank.
And I think Rob did too.
And then I think Christina also.
It's okay, my question was already answered. Go ahead, Christina.
I'm sorry, I just remembered the second question. So the space on the second floor, it was an apartment, wasn't it?
I'm not sure the exact zoning on that, I know that we're planning to use that and go through all the proper steps that'll be needed.
Yeah, because I mean, I think my impression it was an affordable.
It was a kitchen.
An affordable apartment, and so if it was the case, I think there are a lot of protections around that, and we don't want to lose an affordable apartment.
I believe it was a kitchen.
Yeah, I think it was always a kitchen. It's part of the space, so that would be where our kitchen would be, and some seating for, customers.
A kitchen for the coffee store or a separate venue?
It's just a kitchen. It's on the CVO as a kitchen, and that's what it's going to remain.
So maybe that's a kitchen that's just left over from a full apartment.
Well, I don't know.
We really don't know, and I think we need to find out.
We need to find out what was.
Okay, so Jimmy and Ravi, as you can see, I think there's a lot. There are a lot of unanswered questions here that I don't think you're going to be able to answer tonight, including that one, which is a big threshold question.
What, of the kitchen?
Whether it was ever residential, whether it was recently residential.
Right.
Well, if it was, it would be contrary to the C of O, because the C of O has it as a kitchen. So that's actually news to me, because our understanding was that it was always a kitchen. And again, we're not the tenant, or the proposed tenant. So I would have to find that out. That's just, it seems.
Yeah. Did you submit the C of O to us?
Looking now, I'm not sure that was part of the package.
Okay.
And I don't think it was ever residential, but let me see.
I don't remember.
I mean, I'm just wondering where that question is coming from specifically, because is it grounded in some fact that everybody knows there was somebody living up there or something like that?
Yeah, it is generally grounded in fact what I ask, but that the impression is that at a point of time, the owner of Empire Coffee was living up there, but that may not have been in compliance with the CFO. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably was living where he worked. It wasn't
right.
And using the kitchen. So to us, it's the kitchen. We've been through the space, and but I also want to say, just so you know, so us coming to your neighborhood, the block, just because there's no other, there's only one other license on that block that's actually was evicted, so it's not being used. And behind us on the other block, there is another license, I believe. But other than that, it's not a highly saturated location. So if you look out, if you're standing on 9th Avenue, look out, to one side is the bus bridge going over 9th Avenue. Across the street is a very large building with 4 floors of retail and some commercial. And so if we couldn't have picked another place in the city that wasn't saturated, and again, we're trying to bring something good.
But you're only looking at one block. I mean, you have the hotel between 41 and 42 that has, I think, 2 licenses. Once you get below 40th, you've got a bunch of licenses. And we recently approved a new applicant for that club space around the corner on 41st Street. For actually a somewhat similar operation. I think it is also a LGBT friendly performance space. But in any event, I mean, if we're going to go forward, I should let you present, but I just, wanted to tell you that we're getting a lot of pushback on your method of operation from the community, and they're also raising issues that you didn't do any outreach to them. So, or they only heard from you a week ago. I apologize.
If you spoke with the community representatives before you came fully before our board.
Well, look, I'm asking my client, on a text right now if they're willing to push a month. But I gotta say, so many times I've always been very good about giving the multiple notices of what we're doing to folks and people. We did have a few extra folks that were on that list that asked me for the actual package that I've submitted to you. I sent that to them. And that's why, and then no one reaches out to me and says, we want to meet with your client or we want to talk more about this other than that. And then we hear at the meeting that we haven't done outreach. We're doing exactly the outreach that you asked us to do. Yeah. So it's not the first time this has happened. This has happened a number of times, and it just sort of like, damned if you do, damned if you don't, or certainly doing it doesn't really seem to help.
No, I apologize. I misspoke. The people at 49 54th were just saying they only heard from you less than a week before tonight. I don't know if that's true or not. They're not saying they didn't get notice.
True, but your notice to me with their list to them came out like a day before I sent it out. So, we're moving relatively quickly. We didn't wait until the very last minute. So it was tricky. The notice to have everything in by the 4th or the 5th was like 5 days before that. So we got it in on time and submitted. So I don't know how.
Well, again, you were pushing close to our deadline, but that doesn't mean, there's sufficient time to notify the community. You've got to work that into your own schedule.
Right.
And, given that these are all, grassroots volunteer organizations, I think asking them to sort of consider this in less than a week is a little rough on them.
Yeah, I know I know we have the outside question. I also know that I've read the board's own criteria as to, what would be saturated or not saturated within a 3-block radius. And I think this location does not run afoul of your own guidance in regard to that.
I really don't think the issue necessarily is saturation. I don't think it's necessarily saturation. I think 1, it's communication with the neighborhood. And 2, it is a radical change. I'm not talking about saturation. It's a radical change from what existed. And that sort of shakes people up. Not that there's 12 other establishments on the block, door to door to door. I think it's a radical change and the expectation of what is this? So I think
Right.
really, again, I'll say this for your benefit, to talk with people. Rather than
Yeah.
come to the committee and have us ask you questions, talk with people directly.
Yeah, look, so I think I'm hearing you, and we're hearing you. I want to say that we're willing to wait a month to speak with the community organizations, but I do want to just address your point. Yes, if you look at it in a micro sense and you look at a coffee shop and you're going, wow, this is completely different than the coffee shop. It's going to be a bar, LGBTQ friendly bar that's so different than a coffee shop, 100%. But if you look at if you look at the block, what we're adding to a block is something that's gone from that block that used to be there, which was, establishments such as this that has a food and beverage establishment. So we're not bringing massive change to the block. In fact, we're actually trying to hopefully revitalize the block. Obviously, that's not that's a nice side effect of this, but I don't know if it's fair to go, this used to be coffee shop and now it's going to be this, when what's surrounding this location on this block and even beyond a block is drastically different than it was because of even more power, even powers that are even broader than the pandemic in this neighborhood.
People right now want to add something. Inga, Ted?
Yeah, can we just, if there are any people, any members of the public that actually signed up to speak on this, I think if they're willing to be gracious enough to wait a month, which is costing them money, we should at least not hit them next month with surprise questions. So if there's anyone there that wants to speak on it now, we might want to let them speak so they know what's coming next month.
I appreciate that. That's very nice.
Hey, Ted?
I just wanted to say that this community board is typically not very formed with, hold on 1 second. This community board typically doesn't give licenses to places that haven't been previously established before. And because you're asking for a 4 AM license is probably why they're going to put more power on actually having the conversation with tenants that actually live in it. It might not necessarily be that there's not one on the block, but there's tenants in the building, or the power that community board or the block association meeting could actually benefit you to iron out some of those concerns that I think the board would have. Because like they said, it is a big ask and it's a big change.
Thanks, Ted. Is there, I'm getting a message that there's a third hand up, but I don't see one.
Yeah, it's Robert Callahan, an attendee.
Oh, from the community.
Yeah.
Okay, so is he the only one from the community as Inga suggested? Rob? And he has to be moved over?
Yeah, he is moved. Yeah, there we go.
I'm sorry for the interruption. This is off topic. I'm representing Day Drinks Chelsea, and I know I'm
okay, we'll get
very,
back.
very late. My car,
Yeah.
my wife was involved in a car accident. I was just able to get here, so.
Okay, we'll get back to you as soon as we finish with this one. Thank you.
Is there
Okay.
anyone from the community, as Inga asked, who would like to say something?
There's no one else with a raised hand.
Okay, thank you, Nellie.
Okay.
Sorry about
Christine?
that. My question was already asked.
Yeah.
Christine, are there, so you certainly should try to meet with people in the buildings above you and, immediately around you. But Christine, are there any organized associations south of 42nd?
Yeah, there's the 36th block. There is my block that I represent, and then there is the John Mudd, who is representing a whole group of people in that neighborhood. So those people, I think we should try to, and maybe the 43rd Block Association, we should get together.
Yeah, Ravi, could you reach out to Nellie, after this meeting, and she'll give you contact for all those people?
Yes, that's fine. And I just wanted to reconfirm, you mentioned the place around the corner. And so the place around the corner that you just approved that you said was similar, I believe that place was not licensed before as well. So this
Oh,
is.
no, that was a
that was
a dive bar forever. It had rock
So
and
wasn't
roll
it
in
closed
the
since
back room.
2017?
That's only a few years ago, but it was like.
Wasn't it closed since 2017? I mean,
It was
it's,
licensed
I don't know if it was a,
Yeah, no, in fact, we had an intervening applicant who we approved that never opened.
Yeah.
The owner of the building was going to try to open a club there. We recommended approval for him. That never happened. Then these new people came to us. Actually, it might have been a year ago now, right? But it took them a while to do all the outreach and things. And I honestly don't know what's happening to it. We never know,
Once
once
it leaves us.
we don't necessarily hear what's actually going to happen.
right, yeah. Okay, well, I understand there was some talk about the fact that it was an existing premises, but I actually think there's no liquor license there since 2017, just so you know. I can look into that and I can present that next
Oh,
time.
no,
but-
that doesn't surprise us, but that's only because they went out of business in 2017. In 2018 or 19, a new guy wanted to get a license there and either gave up or got turned down by the SLA or something. And then 2019, someone comes to us and then it's the pandemic. So
Right.
it's not that unusual. But the point is, and we've heard this from the SLA, if something has been a bar for a long time, which that place certainly has been, even if there was this hiatus, it's likely to continue to be a bar. But this space, to my knowledge, never has been. It was that coffee store. And by the way, it wasn't really a coffee shop. It was really a store that sold coffee and some pastry to go, but it was a more retail establishment than anything that really had
With a
sit-down
kitchen/bedroom, apparently.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
So look,
Nellie will be in touch with the paperwork for the postponement.
Yeah, we will table, and I'll be in touch with Nellie, and we look forward to speaking with the community groups that are interested, and we'll present to you next month. Hopefully,
Appreciate
Thank
that
you.
very, very much.
thank you all. Thanks so much.
I guess we should go back to item 1.
Number 1. Day drinks.
Okay, I am sorry for my tardiness.
First of all, is your wife okay?
Yes, she is fine.
Thank you.
Her car's not doing so well, but she is fine, thank God.
That's okay.
Okay, so this is a new wine, beer, and cider application for Day Drinks Chelsea LLC, doing business as Day Drinks. We're located at 425 West 15th Street between 9th and 10th Avenues, inside the Chelsea market. We're currently a small coffee and tea cafe. We close early at 6 p.m. But they're starting a new light service menu and would like to complement it with somebody being able to get a glass of wine or a beer. We're a small place where we have 1 table with 5 seats and 6 seats at the coffee bar for 11 seats in total. The hours will be 11 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. They'll have light background music from an iPod or an iPad. We'll still have a full complement of coffees and teas and pastry items at all times. And we have done our proper outreach to the list of neighborhood associations. I think we did that actually back at the end of January, January 28th, I believe it was, if you have any questions.
Okay. So your client is in the space now, just without a liquor license?
Yeah, he's been in the space over a year already.
Okay. And is this a place you can enter from 15th Street as well as Chelsea Market?
Yes.
Okay.
In the photos that I've included shows the entrance.
Okay. All right, Bert, that's all I have.
Okay, anybody else on the committee? Questions, comments? Okay, and Nellie, anybody?
I have a question, Bert.
Oh, I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry, Mike.
I know.
Go ahead.
I'm late. I'm slow on the draw again. I'm
Go ahead.
asking Wendy, have you been to this place, Wendy Gonzalez?
Not, but I want to. I got excited when I was reading through it.
Good. I'm going to take it, my lead from you. Whatever you say, I do.
My neck of the woods for sure.
I know. They're right downstairs from you.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you both. Anyone in the community here, Nellie?
There's no one with a raised hand.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion. We pass.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Present not eligible? Abstaining? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much. Again, my apologies for being late.
No, you just take care of yourself and your wife.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great night, everybody.
We are up to number 5. 530 West 30th Street. I think they postponed from last month.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello, it's Terry Flynn, attorney for the applicant. As you know, we were here last month. We went over this in pretty good detail. You had asked us to do repostings, which we did. We provided copies of all those repostings in the updated packet that we sent you. You also asked us to get a soundproofing report. We've done that. That was also included in the packet. We have decided to enclose that terrace area on the second floor that we had much of the conversation and much of the concern was about the last meeting when we discussed this application. The soundproofing report addresses the effects of that enclosure. I have Al Firestein here who can answer any questions you may have with regard to noise possibility as a result of noise escaping from that enclosure. We will answer any other questions you have with regard to the application. Much of the rest of it is all the same. We just addressed the concerns that we, or I should say you had, with regard to that second floor balcony.
Eric, can you describe, not necessarily in detail, but could you describe the nature of the enclosure, that second story terrace?
Yeah, I actually, Dom, are you on the line? I was gonna see, I wanted to see if the client was on the line. Guys? All right, so to my understanding.
What's his name? They may be in the public attendee
He
list.
looks to be in the public. Dominic DeLeo?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he's in the public. They're raising their hands.
Okay. If we can let them come on because they are.
Hey everyone, how are you?
Hi.
Hi everyone, how are you today?
Good. Dom, if you could fully describe the enclosure. Bert has asked how does the enclosure work?
Sure. So as Terry and you guys we did a full sound test, and what the engineer came back with was this enclosure. It's completely enclosed. It's fully soundproofed, where it will completely protect all of our neighbors from any kind of sound emanating from that space. So basically it turns that outdoor area into an indoor area completely.
I think what he wants you to do is try and describe how is it constructed essentially.
Yes, that's it.
Alan's here now.
So,
is this one of those roller cover things?
Yes, it is. It's a roller cover. So it's made, the structure is made out of, metal and glass. It's tempered glass that has a special rating for soundproofing, according to the sound test.
I think if you look in the soundproofing report at the end, it shows you that this isn't just a flimsy structure. It cost $230,000 plus to construct this.
Yeah, it's completely made out of steel and like I said, the tempered glass, which is made for soundproofing. We also might be able to have Al, who's a sound technician. He might be able to speak a little further to it.
Now we've considered a bunch of these. unfortunately, I don't think we've yet to get any practical experience with how well they work. Because I'm not sure if any place has opened with one yet.
Christine has a question. Christine? Christine, you're muted.
Do you have an answer for the vestibule question? My favorite question on the questionnaire. It has not been answered.
I'm sorry, Christine, what's the question? I apologize.
There is a vestibule question and it's not answered on the questionnaire.
I think you mean storm enclosure, vestibule.
Storm
is-
enclosure, yes, sorry.
Are you guys going to use a storm enclosure? That's what Christine is asking.
Right.
For the front entrance?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we will probably do a storm enclosure in the wintertime.
Is it on private property?
Yes. Yes. If you
Yes.
look at the diagram, the outside seating area we have on the first floor, if you look at the main entrance, you'll almost see a little rectangle around it, which I would imagine that would be where the storm enclosure would be. That is all on private property.
Okay, so that was a question as far as the statement. The open part of the outdoor space is slated. What you put there as an hour is 1 o'clock in the morning. Is that what you're saying? Can you confirm that? It's on your page 3. It says.
Yeah, Dom, page 3 says you want to run the outside area on the first floor, closing at 1 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that sounds really late for an outdoor with a lot of people there. And I would ask that you reduce those hours to earlier. I mean, our normal hours are 10 in the evening and 11 on the weekend.
Yeah, the difference is it's not outdoor, right? Because it's fully enclosed. So
No,
it's not
no,
a true.
No.
This is the first floor outside area that Christine is talking about.
Got it.
So that's my request. I think it's too late.
Tweet?
Well,
I can see that Mr. Flynn's looking at the paperwork, but when he mentioned something about if you look at the diagram,
yeah,
you'll
that's what
see
I'm
this. Could you tell me what page that is, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. After the questionnaire, your questionnaire, we provided you with the menu, then the certificate of occupancy.
Yeah, there's
and then-
several. Mhm.
Right, and then the diagram is right after the certificate of occupancy. It's 2 pages. One is the first floor and the other is the second floor.
And so in which diagram will we see where the storm enclosure is?
Okay, if you go to the first page of the diagram,
Yes.
you'll see the outside area, and as you go along the angular front, you'll see the main entryway. And then you see what looks to be like a little rectangle around that. I can only imagine that was where the enclosure would go, but it's clearly more than enough room on private property there for that.
I still don't follow where it is. Are you talking about where the stairs are on the bottom right?
Yeah, I see the bottom. If you go along from the bottom of the page, if you go to the upper right-hand side of the page, you'll see a staircase on the inside, a big staircase on the inside. And then you'll see an entryway and entry doors. The second set of entry doors.
Page 17 of 47 PDF.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the sort of the left side top You'll see two swinging doors.
Okay.
One's outside
Okay.
by itself, the other one's indoor with that dotted line. That's what it is.
Okay.
Okay,
you.
you got it.
All right, thank you for helping me with that.
Tina,
I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm a little bit confused, and it might be me. It seems like there are a few additional people who will be on the second floor with more than or allowable on the second floor than the first floor. And clearly there seemed to be a noise issue on the second floor, granted that's curable by the sound engineer, because he made several suggestions about using the enclosure and using a different sound system. I'm sort of curious, considering those suggestions were made, why wouldn't we be facing the same problem with the first floor? There's only a difference of a capacity by a handful of people.
I think the issue with the second floor when they raised it last month was the proximity to an apartment or a few of the apartment windows.
the second floor, Tina, the second floor, that balcony, whatever you want to describe it, in the back terrace, I guess, is in the back of the building, and it's on the north side of the block, and it faces very closely. There's not a lot of space between the terrace and the back of the 29th Street building, which are all residential.
Okay, how far is it then the first floor where all the people are going to, where the
first floor, well, let me put it this way. The first floor is a very idiosyncratic space because it's mostly, I think, within the property line, but
Yep.
it's adjacent to an entrance to a garage and under the High Line.
so there's no concern of people living.
Well, there is,
above
because
that.
they're in a residential building. It's a residential building that they're in. So there is some concern, absolutely, but it's not like face to face. You know what I mean? So there is.
Okay, then I
definitely a
second.
concern, but it's
Yeah,
very
then I second
weird
the.
space.
Yeah, sorry. I then would like to see an earlier closing as well, given that.
And this.
I have a question about the chairs that are in front on the first floor in that extra seating area, the outside seating area. There's 62 chairs. Are those getting brought in every night? Would they be getting, because there's chairs, tables, and it's already a small, like that space is small. I'm not quite sure how in that little side corner, how you're going to pit extra. It's another 4 table on the bottom right-hand side. That little area is already pretty crowded, like even walking through it. So you're going to add 62 people in that area. I know it's private.
Yeah, the chairs will be brought in. We'll clean up every night, but it is there's no reason for anybody to be walking through that space unless they're going into that restaurant. There's no public real access there. It's all part of that building. It's all enclosed by there's like a knee wall that goes around this entire space there. So this shouldn't affect anybody outside the public.
Mike.
Yeah, hi. Just a refresher course here. Did we have people from the public from that building they're in speak the last time? I don't remember.
No one spoke last time, and that's why we did all the new postings all over again and posted it everywhere and showed you copies of all the postings.
So there were no concerns about late night noise and all that business then, yeah?
Well, your committee expressed noise, and some of those buildings don't have tenants in them yet. But
I see. That's right. I'm sorry, Terry. You just reminded me. That was on my mind. Okay. But they're going to be tenants that recognize what's there. They're moving into it, right? I mean, that's
and across the street. Yes.
Right, and it's the across the street people that we thought about last time. I'm getting a feel for it now because it's a close, it's a short hop across the street, right?
Yeah, it's right. It's right across the street.
I mean, it's real close. Yeah. All right, I'm just getting a better feel physically for what we're looking at. Thanks, Terry.
Not a problem.
Christine, is your hand still up or is that just?
Yeah, I had a follow-up after Tina's talk. Or I don't know who asked the question. But so you are going to remove the table and chairs every night? Can you confirm that? That's what I heard.
That's what Jeff has told you. They're going to take them in and they're going to clean up that area every night. Yes.
Right. I just want to say, I think this is going to be a very noisy operation to take the tables and chairs and move them in every night, unless they have, little carts that go back and forth. It's
they're two tops. Two tops are very easy for two staff members to move in.
Okay.
And they're outdoor furniture that's extremely light and they fold. Removing it will not be an issue. There will be no sound moving this at all.
Okay, well, all right.
Any other committee members here?
That was
Candace
Candace
again?
who said that.
Yeah, what time is the outside the first floor closing? Because if they're going to be moving chairs up, what time their closing time was what again?
Well, that's what was being discussed.
It's 1 a.m. right now we're applying for. In regards to the front of that building, the only thing that's near us is an actual parking garage. We're directly under the High Line. So there'll be no sound actually even just moving the furniture or anything else that can affect anybody near us.
Well, aren't there apartments above you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 4 stories up. But the High Line there blocks all of that space.
That does.
And the partners within the project are the landlords of the building. So they're definitely not going to be affecting anything in regards to
the landlords are not the tenants.
Yeah, they're actually part of the
They are.
applicant. They are.
They are. The landlord is the tenant. So it would affect them worse on us in their residential side.
So Tom Dayton, who's part of the landlord and the tenant, he's actually has his hand raised. He's on the call. If you want to actually hear from him directly, if you want to let him in to speak, you can give him access to do that.
Let him in. But meanwhile, Ted, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question, and this might be something for.
This is Tom.
I have a question.
Tom, could you hold on for a second?
Yeah, of course.
I have a question. This might be something for the board. Typically, when you're using outdoor area and it's on private property, are they subject to common closing times as we would do for outside dining or restaurants at 10 or 11 a.m., whether it's enclosed or not, or is it different if it's enclosed?
I think it's all about the noise, and whether it's in the private space. The restaurant is a private place, so we always have a discussion about noise and what is going to bother the neighbors. That's the drive in that discussion.
And Ted, as I said, we've approved some of these roller covers, although we haven't really seen any in action. But maybe that's good because we haven't heard any complaints. But if, as I understand the case here, the roller cover is going to completely enclose the space, sides and roof, and be permanently closed, we have been more liberal on the 10 and 11 because we treat it as quasi indoor space at that point.
I think maybe because of Candace's comment about the outside not being covered, maybe that's why I'm kind of bringing up the question about closing time, because I know outdoor seating, I think, closes no later than 11 p.m.
Yeah,
that was
you talking about the front, because we have 2 different outdoor spaces here.
Yeah.
Back terrace and then the front of the building.
Right. So interestingly enough, just so everybody has a complete picture, the High Line is basically covering most of this first floor outdoor space. The covering that was just referred to for the second floor with the steel and the glass is on the second floor. And that effectively makes it enclosed space.
So can I just say a word? This is Tom from Related. Thanks for letting me in, everyone. So I represent 90% of the tenant who is requesting this license, but I also represent 100% of the landlord who represents the people who live in the building. It is, of course, our intention. In fact, it is more our intention to make sure our residents are happy and continue to lease in our building that is directly above this restaurant than it is to make a little bit of more money with this outdoor space staying open a couple hours. So my interest is entirely aligned with this committee's in that we reduce the noise downstairs. So just to settle that point, Christine, as I know that you asked, are we a part of the tenant? I represent 90% of the tenant, but 100% of the landlord. Secondly, the outdoor space downstairs, if you actually look where it is directly across a garage of a building, the Abington, which Related also owns. So our interests aligned there about not wanting to create any noise that disrupts it actually disrupts a pathway which is hardly ever used to go into the entrance of the Abington building from the backside from I think 31st Street. And directly across the outdoor space is the other side of 30th Street, which is Little Spain, which is also a Related owned retail space, which is closed far earlier than, I think closes at like 6 p.m. with no residents, but only office space, multiple stories up. So it is my opinion that there will be no one disturbed by anything that happens even through 1 a.m. around that space. And if there are disturbances, I will certainly be the first to raise my voice, because the rent we generate from the residents above, quite frankly, is the most important thing for Related. So I hope that kind of makes you feel a little bit better about that space. And then on the second floor outdoor space, and by the way, for all those reasons, that's why we thought originally when I walked some of you through outside when it was negative 10 degrees out, we kind of agreed that wasn't going to be a problem, that lower space. And secondly, the second floor space we'll have an issue with, and rightly so, because it is close to those buildings, and we totally agree with you guys. So we went out, we spent a bunch of money, getting Alan to put together a soundproofing report for us, which we did. And we're going to spend a bucket load of money to make sure that that space is fully enclosed and we don't disturb anyone around it, because agreed, there is one building there that Related doesn't own, and we need to make sure that all those residents are happy. Now, you can argue with the results of that report, but if the report says that they won't be disturbed, then I think you've got to take that as fact. So hopefully that doesn't become, I know you haven't seen it in practicality, but it's Alan's job to put together a factual report, and he does it for a living. So I'm hoping that can be taken as fact. So that's my kind of quick summary. Again, my interests are in line with making sure all our residents are happy. But I'm hoping we can also create a successful business venture together with our partner IGC as well. So that's why we're asking for a slightly later closing time. Thank you.
Rob?
Nah, he just answered my question a little bit. Sorry about that. I was just going to point out on the second floor and upper, there is residential in the back. That's all.
Carrie?
Hi, sorry for being late. I am a little bit concerned about, and I'd like to ask my fellow committee members about precedent. We tend to be very consistent, and I think it's super helpful for, someone like me who joins newly and to understand what is allowable and what isn't. So the 10 p.m., 11 p.m. closing is pretty standard. So I would feel I'm with Christine and Tina in that regard.
Okay. Thank you.
And Carrie,
Same here.
Carrie, would that be for just the first floor, which is truly outdoors?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Mike?
Yeah, just to tag on to Kerry here. My approach to all of this is always case by case, right? I think that's the way the SLA views these things. And When I look at somebody who spent $250,000 on a roller cover, right? When they cost $60,000 or $70,000 on the high end in the first place, you've got to acknowledge the fact that they're doing the best that they possibly can to accommodate us and the people around them. It is a big statement. Once in a while, money does talk. In this case, in the appropriate way, right? I'd like to see how this thing works, for God's sake. You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen one of these things in action ourselves. And I'm curious to see how it all works out. And the fact is, you know, there's so much under the High Line to start with. And we've got Related speaking on behalf of both the landlord and the tenants. I am incredibly comfortable with the entire scope of what they're trying to do. I mean, that's just my take on it.
Thank you. Inga?
Could I respond really quickly?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, because I didn't do a very good job framing my concern. I was speaking only about the first floor. That is not the covered portion. And I do, you know, take into account and appreciate the work that and money, extra money being spent to enclose the second floor. So I'm not opposed to the second floor hours.
Inga?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Mike said. And I agree with Tom. I think the 1 a.m. is fine. I walked through there all the time because the High Line is typically too crowded for me. So I cut through that lovely space when I come out of Related from the High Line, and I walk under the High Line, and that is one of the nicest spaces to walk through. There's no way 1 o'clock in the morning, people outside dining is going to disturb anyone other than the people there. And that would affect them. So I think we're fine doing a 1 o'clock. This isn't like another public outdoor space. So I would be in favor of the 1 a.m.
Anyone else on the committee? Comments, questions?
Yeah, just in terms of precedent, I will point out, and I believe it was Related in the Equinox Hotel where we allowed them to keep a terrace open later than the scheduled hours. We immediately heard from at least 3 other places, one sort of in Manhattan West, that we just did this for the Equinox Hotel, so we have to do it for them too to be competitive. So I will say that subsequent applicants do not always recognize the special characteristics of places where we depart from our guidelines.
I promise you this won't be an Equinox versus Pendry situation here. This is a small Irish brasserie, and then we're just trying to make it successful. And it's a ghost town down there on the first floor. I promise you, as one of your committee members just mentioned, and I really sincerely don't see this disturbing anyone in the vicinity, given the retail across the way is closed early, and it directly faces an empty garage.
Yeah, no, Tom, I recognize all that.
Yeah.
My point was simply that future applicants are either not sensitive to or choose to ignore the nuances of your space, and will simply say, hey, I'm across the street in Manhattan West. I should be able to.
Right. I guess and I totally sensitive to your point, and you guys have that difficult job. But I think if on a case by case basis, we have a valid case to create a more successful business, I think it would be overly punitive to disallow us from doing that just because of that precedent. But I leave that up to you.
I guess the thing that hasn't come up is, I think you want background music in the outdoor first floor space.
No, we said we were gonna have the background music inside.
Oh, okay.
Nothing outside, no amplification outside.
Yeah, that was discussed after the first meeting.
I know. What does that say on page 5, the handwriting next to, will there be amplified music? We will have music playing at a level that will not disturb surrounding residences is what it looks like. But to me, that suggests there is outdoor music.
Yeah. That could be applicable to the inside. I mean.
Okay, well, let's do one at a time. Is there music in the outdoor, first floor outdoor space?
I think the answer is, I'll answer it, is yes, we would like there to be, but it will be at a small level that will be more disruptive than people chattering. But if that is a big issue for you guys, we can figure out something that works for all of us. But of course, we want to create an environment that's enjoyable to the patrons, and it's going to, if there's any music, we play it on an iPod at a low level, but that won't generate any kind of activity.
No, I was just flagging it because the hours and the music are the two biggest issues we have with outdoor space. And the reality of background music is it becomes a self-fulfilling thing. As the patrons talk louder, the music gets louder, the patrons talk louder, until we often have very loud background music that you can barely talk over.
Christine. Christine, you're muted.
Tom, so let's assume we go to 1 o'clock, which I'm not enthusiastic about. Would you stipulate that if we have any complaints, you would bring it back to 11?
That's any complaints is I mean, I'm the project manager on 10 buildings in the city, and you can get reasonable complaints and unreasonable complaints. But if we're managing complaints that are of course valid and reasonable, of course we can look for, as I already said, I'm the landlord above, and the lease, again, the rent that we generate from those leases is more important to us, and those are the only complaints that we would receive.
Let me tell you, you are the landlord on 17th Street. What is the building on 17th Street?
On 18th Street, the Lantern House.
No,
building?
the one south of that.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
Next to one
the club.
The club. One
whatever it is.
Anyway, for 17 years, One Oak. So for the last, since One Oak opened, you have had tenants who have complained about that club. And even though you are the landlord, you have not stood up about
One
that.
Oak.
Yes.
Of One Oak. We don't own any part of One Oak.
I'm not talking about One Oak. I'm talking about the related building, which is across the street.
You mean stand up and trying to do something about One Oak?
Yes, about complaining about One Oak, because One Oak.
So I guess my answer is I'm not the landlord for that building, and I'm not familiar with those responses.
Well, Related is a landlord, and there was no help on that, and people complained extensively. So let me get back to that discussion. If you are part of this business, we would like you to agree that if there are legitimate complaints, you will bring back your hours to 11 o'clock.
I think Terry, unless you want to start it off, I have a response. You go ahead.
You have to be a little more clear. I can't be some person who has some kind of vendetta who makes a complaint. And
nobody's talking about vendetta. We're talking about normal people who can't sleep.
All right. So how are we supposed to evaluate whether or not the complaint is?
Well, the community board would evaluate that.
Who on the community board will evaluate that?
Yeah, the community board will evaluate what's going on and we would ask you to make measurements inside the apartments and then evaluate that.
Oh, I think the answer is, Christine, I'm fine with that. I've been sincere this entire time where I'm saying it's incredibly important for related residents not to be disturbed. However, we need to evaluate this on a case by case, and as long as there's a reasonable dialogue between us and you guys, that makes total sense to me. Yes.
Okay. So you will stipulate to that, right?
exactly what I said is how I feel. I think if there are several reasonable complaints that all make sense, and then of course we should have a dialogue to make sure that residents are happy. But I'm not going to promise you that if one person comes in unreasonably, but I don't think that's what you're suggesting. I think if we have a logical, rational narrative going forward, of course I will be amenable to that. Yes.
And amenable to reduce your hours.
Correct. Yes. If that or address the issue in some way. I mean, what I would prefer is to first go to a sensible conclusion of like lowering sound, if that is the issue, if we do play any music, or reducing number of tables or seats. But I certainly don't want to go from 0 to 1 in terms of open and closed. I just want to have a constant narrative between us, if that does occur, where we can slowly but surely mitigate the issue.
Okay.
Well, Christine, it sounds like he's not agreeing to, sort of what you wanted. If there are reasonable complaints, they'll close at 11.
No. I don't think. I think that I'm agreeing 100% to mitigating the issue, but
I was just pointing out that you were not agreeing to, Christine's very specific way of.
That's correct. That is correct. Yeah.
Carrie?
Yes, I just wanted to follow up on the music question, because I'm sorry, I may have missed it, but did you say that there will be music played outside on the first floor?
Yes.
That is what they're asking.
Very light background music. Nothing. We're not a nightclub. We're not anything like that. It's just some type of music to set an atmosphere and an environment that people want to sit there.
Do we ever have music outside?
Only when we screw up, and then we hear about it.
Certainly not amplified.
Well, sometimes we have it on the roof when there is no building across, in our policy where there is no building around that roof. And, or if there has been a study showing what, how to set it up so nobody can hear it.
So this is not the roof. This is the first floor.
Right, but this has unique aspects, as you pointed out, between the garage and the High Line.
Oh yeah, I've walked through it a number of times.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, so
I think the
we
word I
should.
used was idiosyncratic. Candace.
So I'm still stuck on the tables and chairs on the outside, because there's 31 tables that these people are going to have to bring in, and you guys are closing at 4 a.m.
1 a.m.
1 a.m. You're bringing in tables and chairs like inside the restaurant.
Right.
There's no space in your front area. You have a host table right there. There's the hoist area. Where are you pitting these 31 tables and 62 chairs? I just think there's so many. That area. I run through that area all the time. I actually run through that spot because the Highline people are blocking the sidewalk. So it's not a big area. That's what I'm just like. What size are these tables? Just.
They're 2 tops.
The area you run is underneath the High Line. Where this is located.
I know it's on the outside. It's by the building, but I cut through that. I go through that part to avoid the High Line people. I run straight down 30th all the time. But like I said, I'm just trying to figure out where you're going to store these tables now on the inside. It's not making sense to me.
Yeah, looking at this, I agree. I mean, those are a lot of tables, and if your inside is open till 4 a.m., you can't bring them inside until after 4 a.m., it would seem.
Yeah, so we're gonna have people. Are they gonna put the it? No. Just doesn't. There's gonna be a lot of people outside sitting on those chairs, just socializing.
No, it would be no different than if we stopped service anywhere at a certain hour. No one will be permitted to stand. We can close all the chairs up and lean them against the tables if that's what we have to do, where nobody sits in them. The same way as if the closing was 1 o'clock on the inside, we would have to have everybody out by then. So we would close up the chairs and put them where nobody could sit on them against the tables. And there's a wide path down the middle if anybody were to walk through or go through the space, and then we'll move them in as soon as we're able to.
But
So at 4 a.m. they'll
at
be
4 a.m.?
No. Some nights it might be 4 a.m. Some nights it might be 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. It all depends on the given night and what we're doing with the tables and chairs.
But there will be nights when you'll be moving tables and chairs after 4 a.m.?
No, we'll bring them in before 4 a.m. If you want us to stipulate that, we'll bring them in before 4 a.m.
How are you bringing
But
them
where?
into where? If you're inside premises?
I have a question. What's the concern with the committee for leaving them outside? Is it for people just to come and sit down on them that aren't patrons for the restaurant and that being disruptive to the community?
Because then you have people outside and sitting until 4 a.m.
But isn't that
It's a public place.
And there's also a very big homeless encampment kind of down the road. I kind of feel like they're gonna kind of make their way towards you guys if they see tables and chairs.
I mean, if this is a real concern,
Tom,
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, so just to give you guys a little insight on this, we have another restaurant on Park Avenue and 39th Street, Park Avenue Tavern, where we have outdoor seating. The venue is open till 4 a.m. We close down the outside area at 1 a.m. We've never, and it's a completely residential area over there. We're surrounded by residential buildings. We've never one time ever had a complaint about noise of bringing in chairs. It's a two-person job. You know, it takes about 10 minutes. It's pretty operationally sound. It's never been an issue or a concern for us at all. So
Yeah, Dominic, what time does your inside space close on Park Avenue though?
4 a.m. We have a 4 a.m. license.
So you bring the tables and chairs in after 4 a.m.?
Yeah, we'll lean up against the building. If we're very crowded inside, or if we're not, we figure out a path to just bring it in. It's pretty seamless. Because at that time of the night, it's not that we're not going to be jammed in there, packed to the gills. It's not the type of place we are. So it's really more on our end of operational stuff. But noise-wise, I don't foresee that being an issue at all. We've never had an issue at our other locations with that.
All right. Nellie, is there anyone from the community who wants to speak on this?
No, there's no one.
Okay. It seems like we've aired everything, so maybe we should just focus down and decide. So let's, I guess, deal with the easiest stuff. So on the second floor, are people okay with the 4 a.m. close across the board inside? I assume yes. And then we'll have a stip, Terry, that says the second floor terrace will be completely enclosed by roller cover, and the roller cover will be kept completely closed at all times, right? On the second floor?
The terrace in the back.
Yeah, that's where the roller cover is going. Yes, correct.
And it'll be
enclosed.
It'll be completely enclosed and kept closed all the time.
Yeah, guys, that's the intention, correct?
Hey, Frank, what about sound speakers out there?
But wait a second. Let's get the close. Did they agree to the? Is it?
Yes.
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 Okay.
That was a yes. Okay.
All right. And how about, and it's a 12 p.m. close out there?
They have.
I'm sorry. So what? It's a 12. You said a 12 p.m. close.
A 12 a.m. midnight. I think you had that wrong.
No, it's not. That was 12 a.m. when it was going to be open. So if it's going to be completely enclosed, it would be the same as the inside.
Okay, that's problematic to me.
Okay.
Because we don't know that the roller cover is going to be as successful as we hope it will be.
What time? What time?
Off, I mean, I'd propose 11 and 12, but I could probably live with midnight.
All right, so the inside.
So this is my thought process on this. We did a sound study. The sound study proves by facts that the surrounding residents are not affected. It is fully enclosed as if it were an indoor space. I sympathize with the fact that you guys haven't seen this in practice, but we're spending $250,000 and we have a professional sound report. So why should we be closing any earlier than the indoor space. And if we do want to meet in the middle, certainly don't feel that it should be midnight. It should be at least 2 a.m. However, I don't see why it should be any earlier than 4 a.m. Can someone from the committee respond to that?
Yes, because it's not bricks and mortar, and even your acoustic guy will tell you it is not as solid as an indoor space.
Yeah, but as you brought it up before, this is not a $70,000 enclosure. This is steel and tempered glass with soundproof. This is not the normal roller cover that you're talking about. That's a $60,000-$70,000 job. This is over $250,000.
Hey guys, quick question. You've already installed this. You did a full sound with the sound engineer with this already installed, correct?
No,
it's not installed, Rob. I walked by there about a week ago. No.
Okay. They're talking like it's already installed and done, and they've done a full sound check on it already. That's what it just sounded like.
The sound study is still, based on hypothetical. Well, it's based on analysis of based on.
Oh no! I get it, but it's just the way they were speaking. It sounded like for a moment. Oh, is it up? And they did a sound test in it. That's what it sounded like for a moment. That's why I just wanted clarification.
I agree, Rob.
Not up.
They're treating something as fact, which is not.
Well, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Wait, I'm not sure if Alan is on. However, we went up to a soundproof to determine the noise that was affecting residents.
Okay.
Now, when you go to these tent suppliers, they have engineered certain qualities of tent, which demonstrate the amount of soundproofing, which can be directly related to the evidence in the report. So it's about as close to fact as you can possibly get without having to spend $250,000 to do the test with it actually up. So I understand what you guys are saying, but this is the best we can do, and we're spending a bucket load. It's got to be a little bit of meeting in the middle here.
Frank, this is Al Firestein. Can I add a little clarity for just a second?
Go ahead, Al. Go ahead.
Hi.
Quickly, please.
Very quick. Empire Hotel, 10 years ago, giant lawsuit, roller cover, fixed the problem. Same thing, the people at 61 West 62nd Street, who were my client, it was a big appeals court case. They were complaining. The roller cover closed solves the problem with voices. The music has to be limited, as I said in the report. I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just to make it clear, Frank, we're going to follow whatever the report tells us.
Well, of course, but in the case of any predictive report, there's always some possibility of a margin for error. I mean, that's just sort of the nature of the beast.
No, I understand. And then on the other side, the flip side is there's the assumption that we're not going to be able to control the noise. And that could be equally as a margin of error.
I, for one, would like you to have earlier closing hours in the back, not the 4 a.m., and see how it goes. Once it's constructed, once there are people in there, once there's music in there, see how it goes for 6 months or so, and then come back.
So guys, could we all agree to do, we'll even come down a little further and do a 1 a.m. closure in the back patio that's enclosed?
When are you opening and when is the closure going to be complete?
I'm sorry?
When do you plan on officially opening your establishment, and when do you plan on the enclosure being complete?
The enclosure will be complete before we open, and that will be sometime in end of July, August, maybe a little later, depending on the construction.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dominic, when you're talking about 1 a.m. close, were you talking about the second floor enclosed terrace?
Correct. Yeah.
1 a.m.
And then like you said, we can always have a conversation if this doesn't work.
All right. I could live with 1 a.m. as long as the music is kept to the levels in the acoustic log report.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then if there's no complaints after a good run, because you're saying you're opening up in what was it, July or August?
Yeah, let's just call it August.
So the following spring, if it's, how it goes.
Okay, all right, let's try to move on. So we've got the fully enclosed second floor. We've got the fully enclosed roller cover, 1 a.m. close, background music only, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's go back to the first floor. We have two issues there. We have the closing hours and the music. And perhaps the tables and chairs if people are still not satisfied. But I think the tables and chairs accompanies the closing hours.
Yes.
So anyone want to make an argument? Anyone? Does anyone still want it closed earlier than 1 a.m.?
Yes.
Other than Christine.
I think maybe
Well, there are 3 people, not just me.
Yeah.
4.
4 people.
Yeah, I'd probably want to make it at least midnight myself.
Could we follow some of the protocol and have them request that they close early, and then when they come back, we can evaluate about whether or not we want to extend those hours?
That sounds good to me.
Me too.
Yeah.
How about music? Are people concerned about it? Background music out there?
Yes.
Probably no amplified music.
Well, did you do a study? Was that part of the study, or the level at which the music should be?
Yes.
For the
Okay.
first floor as well? First floor terrace, Alan?
No.
Okay.
Only the second floor.
Yep.
Okay. I would say the music would be okay if they do a study and they have a level.
Yeah, so we will always follow the New York City guidelines for all music levels. We will never supersede that in any way, shape, or form.
That's not enough.
What Christine is suggesting is that Al do a little bit further of the study and suggest a limit on the speakers on the sound for outside, and whatever Al comes up with, we would agree to comply with.
And the placement of the speaker.
Right, correct. Whatever Al would come up with on the sound. Is that correct, Christine?
Yes, thank you.
No problem.
Christine, the only issue there is we're already spending an astronomical amount of money here to try to make sure that we're in good faith with everybody. And the studies are not cheap. No offense, Al, but they're not cheap. I just think that we've been operating in New York City for over 20 years, where we work really well with all of our neighbors. We do not have a lot of noise complaints in any way, shape, or form in any of our venues, and we're in some very big residential areas. I would ask the committee to really kind of give us some faith here that we can control the volume and control any type of issues. One, because of the experience we have as operators, but also two, because like Tom stated, he's a landlord and his interests align with your interests, as do ours as the operators, to be honest with you, because we want to be good partners.
Okay, Dominic, I've actually been to your Park Avenue place and it does seem well run. However, you're asking us to budge in fairly strong, to a fairly big level in two areas where we really don't like to, the hours and the music. So can we meet somewhere in the middle, either reduce the hours, get rid of the music? I think ideally we reduce the hours some and trust you to have background music. That would get my support at least. Trust you to keep the music at background levels only.
So if we did midnight and background music at low levels, would that be acceptable?
It would be close for me, but I think you're moving in the right direction. I don't know how other people feel.
Christine,
Christine, Pino, what do you think about that?
I don't know. This is a stretch, but what about other people?
I just want to point out just please remember the uniqueness of the space by the fact it's right by the garage and the highlight.
We heard.
Yeah, Bert, you actually saw it. I mean, how
Well, Candace is also runs by it.
Oh, that's true. So
Personally, I wouldn't want to eat there. So if someone wants to eat there on the outside there, I mean, it hardly gets sun. It's shadowed by the High Line. Cars
but-
come by.
We're talking about hours here.
I know,
Wait.
I know.
is it likely to bother, are diners likely to bother anybody over there?
No.
I don't live right above on the second floor there, but it's far from the other Vornado building that faces 10th Avenue. I forget what it's called. The Abington or whatever it is.
The Abington, yes.
The Abington, it's pretty far from there.
And that's a related building, by the way.
Oh, related, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I get
They're
my?
all a related building. It's a related city.
Candace, any further thoughts on that space?
Well, I don't know. I would like to do I think midnight and the study would be fine.
Yeah,
I mean, the study is about
I agree with
2,500. I'm sure that Michael can give them a discount with all the money they are spending.
I just have to say that is really painful to hear for me. This again, I'm going to echo Dom's sentiments here. It's so much money is being spent, and of course we understand we need to apply. I mean, I'm talking mainly about the tent, but also Alan, I love you, but it's extremely expensive. I can't emphasize enough where this area is. I ask you to talk to members of your committee, like the lady who goes there past there every single day, and there is nothing around this area except for the residents that I am responsible for that live several floors up, I won't compromise their stay in my building. So I can't make my point any clearer. I think the thing that hurts us most is actually getting another sound study, both because of the cost, but also because the delay, because we know that as soon as you guys approve this this has to go to the SLA, and it's several months for them to approve, which is going to push our opening date back another month, where we'll lose even more money. So I ask that we find some compromise here that does not involve losing a month in the schedule here.
That's what we're trying to do. I see more committee members raise hands. Rob, Ted,
Just to respond to Tom for a second. Tom, we wouldn't be delaying you. We'd simply say, get the report and agree to implement the recommendations, period. That wouldn't delay you any with us or the SLA.
Rob, Ted, Jesse, Mike.
I was just echoing what Christina said. I would feel a lot better with the report. But I will go with the majority on this, but I do feel very strong about it. And I think a 12 o'clock close is, I would prefer 11, but 12 o'clock is reasonable.
Okay, thank you. Ted, Jesse, Mike.
In lieu of them going back and getting a sound report, why don't we just give them a time to shut the music off at like 11? So they have time to break down. It's not costing them, and a time that we can feel comfortable as a board with them doing that.
Okay, good. That's an idea. Jesse.
Pretty much exactly what I was going to say. I think that there are other ways around having them do a sound report. The nature of this neighborhood, Tom being the landlord of this building, carries a lot of weight for me where residents are concerned. It would be really against his interest to have a lot of complaints coming in. And so that really does carry a lot of weight. And I think we should appreciate that these are unique circumstances here that we haven't actually seen from other applicants.
Good, Mike?
Yeah, well, I echo what Jesse and Ted just said. I absolutely do not want to see them have to go get another report, because the reports are, abstracts, right? They're not going to tell you actually what's happening on the ground. So if you want to give
Mike, you're undercutting them for the second floor terrace.
Well, no. What do you mean I'm undercutting?
Okay, wait. Okay. Thank you, Mike. Wendy?
No. Wait a second, Bert. Hold on a second. Don't disparage me and then kick me off.
I am no way disparaging you.
Okay.
You had a good point.
No, what I'm saying is additional report.
Yeah.
Talking about an additional report is what I'm saying. We shouldn't have to push them to it. Right?
Okay. Wendy?
Good.
I'm just going to echo. I had the same thought that Ted had and Jesse. I would be in favor of cutting off music at, let's say 11, and I'm comfortable with midnight given the very special circumstances of this.
Thank you, Wendy. It sounds like to me that we're moving in the direction for the front. 12 o'clock, suggested 12 o'clock closing and no music after 11.
Yeah, Bert, I would ask for the our usual outdoor hours with the music, 10 and 11. Which are the hours we don't normally ask them to
10
close.
during the week and 11 on the weekend.
On Friday and Saturday, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's what I'd like.
And closing of the cafe at 12.
Yeah.
How does that sound to you guys, Terry?
That's my client's decision. I don't get. I don't put up money for it to make that decision.
Yeah, Dom, how's that sound for you? Is there any way we can do 11 o'clock on the weekdays and 12 o'clock on the weekends on Friday and Saturday? It would just.
I don't hear that consensus here on the committee, Dominic.
They're just talking about the music, Dom. They're not talking about the hours. Would be 12 a.m. closure across the board, but music stopping at 10 p.m. on weeknights and 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday.
Oh no, 11 p.m. on weeknights, 12 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, right, Dom? 12 a.m.
Okay. I'm voting against it on those terms.
No, I think the committee consensus, what the committee is coming up with is 12 o'clock closing for the cafe, music 10 and 11. And I think that's what our stipulations and how we're going to vote.
Jeff.
And Dom, remember, they're also telling you if everything works well after a period of time, we can come back to them to expand.
Absolutely.
And then can we not do it the other way, where we start, you trust us, and we come back to you and reduce it, just like we did, Christine wanted on the other right?
No, because you saw the issues that Tom raised, that it's impossible to have an objective standard about what is going to require you to cut back hours.
And
my objective standard is my tenants complaining, just like me and Christine were talking about earlier. That's the complaints coming to you from our tenants.
But Dominic was asking if we could agree that the hours be cut back if there are complaints, and all I was saying was we could not find an objective way to say 6 complaints will require a cutback in hours.
You could always add, it's a lot harder for us to roll it back.
Look,
Dominique, I want to say something. I think you are getting there. Everybody has been pushing in 20 different directions to give you more than we give usually. And there is only a very small difference with what you were asking. I think it would be really helpful if we could go on with that, the proposal on the table. And again, any change, you can always come back and ask for a change of operation.
I agree completely with Christine. I think the fact that you're pushing so hard for 1 hour of outdoor music, 1 extra of outdoor music, is making me concerned about a lot of things.
Yeah, it's not just 1 hour, right? It's 1 hour of extra revenue and 1 hour of
no outdoor music. We're only talking about music.
You can't.
I understand.
Music is going to increase your revenue.
No, but I mean, when we go to 12, from 1 o'clock to 12, it means that hour. Okay, and that's granted, but that's only the outdoor part. It's not the inside. You're going to get 4 o'clock in the morning. Normally on the side street, we ask for 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we have already gone from 11 to 4 o'clock for the inside. And it looks like this concession is not being taken in account when we are discussing.
No, it is, and trust me, we appreciate it. So let's move forward.
So what you have here is you are getting plus 4 hours and then -1 on the other side. And I think that that still leaves you +3 with to do your business compared to what we are trying to do with others. So I think there is a lot of concession and consideration on the table, and we do understand that. We want you to be, successful.
Rob, Jesse, again?
We appreciate it. Let's do what your recommendation is, and we'll prove the operators we are, and maybe come back in a year and we can revisit it.
We'd love it. You'll be a hero.
Okay, Rob, do you guys still have anything to say?
No.
Okay.
No, not anymore. I agree with completely what you said and with what Christina said.
Okay.
And Jesse, you had your hand up?
So everybody listen. So Terry, if you could redo the chart on page 3 to make clear that the second floor is now a roller cover. And then we're going to have to put in hours for the music.
I'll redo all of page 3 and resend it to your office.
Okay. And just to be clear, so we're all in agreement. First floor indoors, 4 a.m. close. First floor outdoor, midnight close. Background music only everywhere. And background music outside ceases at 10 a.m. on weeknights, 10 p.m. weeknights, 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday.
Right.
Second floor, indoors, 4 a.m. close, background music only. Outdoors, 1 a.m. close, background music only.
Right, underneath the roller top, yes.
And with the roller, I'm going to get to the roller cover soon.
Okay.
Are we okay with the hours, everybody?
Yes, those are what we have agreed to.
Okay, and then additional steps. Second floor terrace will be completely enclosed by a roller cover, roof and all sides, and roller cover will be kept completely closed at all times. All recommendations of the acoustical log report dated, whatever it is, will be implemented. Music in first floor outdoor space will be limited to true background levels and will cease no later than 10 p.m. On weeknights and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. And Terry, there was just one question that didn't get changed, I think, on your new form, which was, and I think you agreed to last time, this was on page 5. There won't be standing space in the outdoor space. The answer should be yes, that you're not going to allow standing.
Yeah,
right?
Hold on. Let me find out. You have page 5, you
Page
said?
5, the 6th question down. Will applicant not allow standing space?
Okay, yep. We'll make that
That's a
change.
yes now.
All right, I'll revise that and send it to you.
Okay, you okay with all of that?
Yes.
Your client is as well?
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Okay.
So do I hear a resolution incorporating all those stipulations that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Present not eligible? Abstaining. Okay. Thank you, guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, we're on to item number 6 on the agenda, 204 9th Avenue, Italian 101 Inc. Hours of operation, 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. on Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Friday and Saturday.
And 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Sunday?
What do I see there?
They are
11
or slightly
Yes,
earlier?
I'm sorry, Terry. I didn't get that far.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No. Yeah, I didn't get to the second line. Okay.
So basically, this is an Italian restaurant. Burgess gave you the hours. The occupancy is 70 people. There are 11 tables with 50 seats. There's only one bar with 20 seats. Background music only. All the postings were done. This space was previously a pizzeria as well. We're happy to answer any questions. The applicant is on the line, or should be if he raises his hand, so you could give him access if you have any questions of him.
Okay.
Just one question I have, Terry. You said the space was a pizzeria as well. So is this space a pizzeria or an Italian
Well,
restaurant?
well, I talk a little loosely. I use the term pizzeria too broadly. I apologize. You have a menu here to see what it is. It's more of a full Italian restaurant than just pizza. So yes, I misspoke.
Okay.
So the Ray's Pizza had a wine and beer license only, but it went to 1 a.m., so it went later. Just a couple things, Terry, on page 7.
Sure.
You said you're going to have a DCA enclosed sidewalk cafe. I think you mean that's open restaurants, right?
It's in the sidewalk cafe area where it would be, but yes, open streets until they change it, make it.
Yeah, so I'll just change the heading to open restaurants only and get rid of the DCA part. And the only other thing, which I'm sure Christine would ask you, you say you're going to have a storm enclosure. Will you agree to the usual stip? It can't extend more than 18 inches for the building side. Okay, that's all I got, Bert.
Okay, any other questions in committee? Rob, is your hand up?
Nope, hand's not up.
Okay, because I see it up, Ray, so just take it down, so don't confuse me. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody from the community, Nellie?
No, no one.
Not yet.
I'd like to make a motion.
Can I just say one thing?
Go ahead, Inga.
I was just waiting to see if there was anyone from the community. I don't think this will be a problem because someone from the building would have said something. They previously never had more than 2 people at a time in there, maybe 4 if it was a busy night. So if no one in the building has a problem with them potentially having more people in there, I'm fine with it. I'm looking out the window. It's closed off. We did see the notices. Sad to see that they're gone, but okay, that's it. Thank you.
And it's adjacent to, or just one door down from, no, I think it's the Canadian place that we.
Correct. And on the other side's the Indian place. So I thought maybe, because we usually have residents that have complained about the Indian
people live
place.
above.
Correct. But no one's complaining, so I'm fine with it.
Okay, thank you.
I second the motion Rob made to.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Present not eligible? Abstaining? Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Have a very nice Valentine's Day.
All right, thank you.
Gary. Okay, item number 7, 785 9th Avenue, Retro on 9th. Hours of operation, 11 a.m. proposed to 4 a.m. proposed, 7 days a week. Applicant, lawyer?
The applicant here.
Our lawyer isn't here.
Are you expecting your lawyer or?
No.
Okay.
85 Avenue.
Then go ahead. And thank you for waiting a month to meet with the Block Association. We appreciate that. This is someone who postponed from last month to meet with the Block Associations.
No problem. We just want to, do the right thing with everyone.
Want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing there?
Well, we've been on 11th Avenue for 12 years as American Retro Bar and Grill. We've been operating there from 11 a.m. to 4 a.m. for 12 years. We're moving to 9th Avenue. We can't get a lease where we're at, so we're moving to 9th.
Okay. Just a couple observations. This had previously had a 4 a.m. license going back to at least 2009. They met with 49th, 54th Block Alliance. Seems to have basically gone well. It looks like the consensus there, though, was that they preferred a 4 a.m. closing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and 2 a.m. other nights of the week. But again, it had been previously licensed at 4 a.m. I'm assuming you'll agree that there'll be no music outdoors.
I'm sorry, what was that? My phone.
You agree that there'll be no music in the outdoors?
Yeah, no outside music.
Okay.
No sidewalk tables.
We
Okay.
might, just the open in the street until that goes away.
Yep. So I see you're over 75, so you need a public assembly permit, right?
Well, yeah, it's 90 for the.
Yeah. Right. So where is I was looking at your floor plan. Where's your second exit?
There's in the back dining room, there's an exit out to the side of the building.
So looking at the floor plan you attached, I just did. Can you tell me just where that exit is?
Sure. It's right. The staircase leading to the basement.
Yeah.
The exit door is right to the right there. If you.
Oh, I see that. Okay. All right. And last thing is, I think you just heard storm enclosure. You said you're gonna have a storm enclosure. It can only extend 18 inches from the building. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, the landlord told us there was a problem with their prior, like the winter vestibule that they had.
Yeah.
It's a tight sidewalk because there's wood enclosures around the trees. I don't know if that's for the construction on 9th or they're permanent, but the wood enclosure around a tree and the proximity of our front door, I can see that if there was a vestibule, it does cause a problem on the sidewalk with, like causing a bottleneck.
Right.
I don't know. It's not installed now. It's just in pieces and we're not held to it. We're probably not going to open till spring. So it's not going to be a problem.
Well, all we're asking is that you agree that if you use a storm enclosure, it won't be any bigger than 18 inches from the building.
Yeah. I mean, if it's possible, or just not use one and use something different, a different technology.
Yeah, curtains inside or something. So we'll just say if you use one, it won't extend more than 18 inches from the building.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's what I got.
Bert, you're muted. Are you calling on me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, I was calling on you, sweet.
Okay. I heard that there wasn't outdoor dining. Is that right? Is that
not on the sidewalk? It's too small of a space.
okay, so that's
maybe
why
the
there's
street seating until it goes away.
It's called a roadway dining.
Okay.
Yeah, the roadway dining.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Nina.
Now, all I was going to say is that, like you've said many times, that sidewalk is so incredibly tight. And you are using bicycles. And you say you're going to put it in the basement. I don't know how you're going to work it, but literally nothing can go on that sidewalk that's going to impede people walking because it is basically single file at times. So it sounds like you're cognizant about it, and I appreciate that. We really have to keep things off the sidewalk. Thanks.
Yeah, if we have to keep, if my guys have to, like, during the day lock their bikes up at, further down the block out of the way, that's what they'll have to do. It's a tight, it's a small sidewalk and busy sidewalk. There's a lot of, there's a couple of places on the block with the creamery and that they're very popular. So there's a lot of people walking.
Right. And I forgot to mention that, as you might have seen in the Dropbox, they had a letter from the Site 5 Housing Development Fund Corporation saying that, they've enjoyed the 11th Avenue location and be happy to have them slightly closer with the new location.
Right.
So I think the issue I see is whether anyone is concerned about the 4 a.m. given what the 49 54th Street Alliance says.
Christine?
Yeah, not on that subject, but is the the roadway diner is already built, or you are going to build a new one?
I plan to just take the one I'm using and move it to 9th Avenue. I only use flower beds. I don't have a permanent structure. I have flower beds because it could be, you never know if they have to do work on the street underneath you. Mine can be taken apart.
Right. And they are going to DOT is going to redo that side of 9th Avenue. So you don't want to invest too much because on the next spring, there will be a new design.
That's good to know.
Right.
They're never going to finish Ninth Avenue, are they? They're just going to go back and forth from one side.
No,
We
no,
get to
no,
the
no,
end,
no.
start again.
For
No, in
eternity.
fact, we are lucky because this is on the east side of Ninth Avenue or west side?
West side.
Oh, west side. So I made a mistake. The east side is going to be changed, not the west side.
Okay, any other people on the committee? Does anyone want to comment as Frank asked on the hours?
Well, does anyone have concerns about 4 a.m. across the board?
No.
Okay.
Anyone from the community? Nellie?
Yes, I have one hand raised.
Bring him over.
Michael?
Michael, you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm a partner in the Retro on 9th with Mike, and I was just trying to join before.
Okay. All right. So we have 2 additional steps. No outdoor music whatsoever and storm enclosure of only 18 inches.
Anything about the bicycles?
They've already said they're gonna keep them in the basement. I think we'll rely on their good faith. They're the ones who raised that the sidewalk's very crowded.
Okay, good faith. Do I hear a resolution?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve.
In a second. Christine seconds it.
Again.
Okay, and Ted seconds it as well. Is that a second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those
Thank you all
opposed?
very, very, very much.
Wait,
Okay,
we
good
haven't
luck.
voted yet. We haven't finished the vote. All those in favor, all those opposed? Opposed? Absent, present, not eligible. Okay. Now we voted. Okay, Michael.
Thank you, guys.
Good
Thank you guys very, very much. We really appreciate it.
Okay,
Good
Michael,
luck.
Michael, thank you.
We'll see you in the spring.
Yep. Number 8 on our agenda, 332 West 44th Street. SD Foods NYC Inc.
Hello, everybody. Before I begin, I just want to make sure my client is on. VJ Sharma should be here.
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
All righty. My name is Phil Dorn. I know many of you, so hello to those who I know, and nice to meet you to those who I don't. I'm an attorney with Pizzetsky and Bookman. With me is VJ Sharma, like I just said. He's the owner of SV Food NY Inc. VJ is looking to open up an Indian restaurant in a space on 44th Street that was previously an Indian restaurant under the same name. He's not going to be changing the name. It's under a parking garage on 44th Street between 8th and 9th Ave, so it's not in a residential building. He's going to be keeping the exact same method of operation as the previous tenant, including background music only, the hours of operation being noon to midnight each night of the week, and no outdoor space. VJ is an experienced operator. He has another Indian restaurant on 49th and 7th. That's outside of your community board, as you guys know. That's CB5, but nearby. He conducted outreach for this application by reaching out, of course, to the list of block associations that you guys provide. I know he did hear back from one who requested that he scale back his hours. He had originally requested 2 a.m. And he was happy to cooperate with that request, and that's how we landed on the midnight that we have for you tonight. Hopefully,
Right, well, thank you for that. I did note the cutback in hours. We appreciate that. Phil, I think this is a non-issue since it's already up and running, but the prior applicant agreed to a stip that says all restaurant exhaust or run to the roof of the garage and not vent onto West 44th. Will he agree to that? I mean, I assume that's the way the thing was built.
Yeah, I'll leave that to VJ. I don't want to speak for him, but I assume as well that that's probably how it's constructed. So that would be the only option.
VJ, you okay with that? The venting to the top of the building?
Yes, I'll be okay with that.
Okay. So committee, here's the only issue one issue as you may remember. This is in the parking garage on 44th between 9th and 10th. When land use, 8th and 9th, sorry. When land use approved them to build this retail space on the ground floor of the garage, the owner of the garage agreed that any restaurants would only seek beer and wine licenses. We had a big discussion with this when the first Indian place opened. We agreed to let them have full liquor because we were comfortable with the applicant. We got a letter from the garage saying, this was not a waiver of, our rights to insist on the beer and wine licenses only. Since this is in many ways a continuation of what was going on there with even more limited hours, I don't see any reason to make an issue of the full liquor again, but I just wanted to raise it.
Thank you. Do they rent from the garage?
I believe so. Yes, Phil?
VJ, is the garage the landlord?
Yes.
Yes.
Christine, you had your hand raised?
I was going to talk about the same thing. I'm glad somebody else has the institutional memory. Thank you, Frank.
Do you have any concerns, Christine, about sort of carrying?
The only concern I have is like establishing a precedent, as you said, and everybody is wonderful, etc. And then we go into in 2 years or 3 years, and now we have an applicant who wants to open until 4 o'clock, and the garage tells us, well, you have already approved it twice, so that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have the stipulation anymore. So how do we make sure, and you are a lawyer, that's great. How do we make sure that we say this is still an exception in a sense, right? And we still reserve the right to not approve the next one.
Well, it's as simple as a no on the next application. I mean,
no, but Phil, I mean, don't do that. I'm talking to Frank.
Oh, I thought you said you're a lawyer. I thought you meant me.
No. There are more than one lawyer on that.
Christine, we can go to the garage people and try to get another letter. If I remember right, though, the original letter got so watered down from what we wanted. I'm not sure how strong it is anyway, but I don't see any reason not to try. And basically, I would see a letter that said, we view this as a continuation of the existing method of operation and hence are okay with it. Maybe, in fact, here's what I suggest. We send our own letter rather than trying to negotiate a letter from them.
Yes.
We send them a letter that says, we are willing to recommend approving this despite the provision, despite your agreement with us as to wine and beer only, because we see this as a continuation of the present method of operation, which was a one-shot, no precedent exception. And we just send that letter to.
Yeah, and then we reference that letter in the STIPs just as a comment saying, somewhere.
Okay, we'll figure that out somehow.
Right.
All right, so Phil, so what we're going to do is the only thing that'll change on the form is we'll say, or maybe we'll just attach it to the STIP form. We're going to send a letter to the landlord making clear our position.
Okay, great. And I presume that the landlord shouldn't object just because of what you said. We're maintaining the same method of operation, and
no, the landlord was in favor of them getting a full liquor license. Our back and forth was we wanted, we tried to hold it to beer and wine, and then we finally came up with this. There's no precedence to this exception.
Yeah.
But the landlord is fully in favor of full liquor. It was us pushing for our side.
I had it backwards. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else in the committee? And from the community, Nellie?
Tina has her hand up.
Tina, I'm sorry.
Just a silly thing. I'm sure it was a mistake or a typo. It says the owner refuses to consider complaints and refuses to give their telephone number on page 3 of 9.
All right, that's page 3 at the bottom.
It's not a typo. We mean it. Of course, it was a typo.
Don't call us.
For both of them, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We'll make sure to fix that for you guys.
Yeah, thank you for, if everyone notices like one page of the form, we'll be in good shape. Thank you, Tina.
Great catch, great catch. Anybody from the community, Nellie?
No, there's no one.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion. We pass and
Brock,
accept
Brock,
with,
you've been making motions all night. Maybe someone else wants to.
okay, someone else go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
I second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstaining? Present not eligible. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes.
Good luck. And our last on the agenda, number 9, 690 9th Avenue. Pozo Vivo.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hi. My name is Ellen. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Sam Park from ABC License, representing Pozo Vivo at 690 9th Avenue. It used to be a Thai restaurant serving full liquor. They left back in December of 2020. Now it'll be an Italian restaurant, and Mr. Tony Pecora already owns and operates 2 Italian restaurants very nearby within your neighborhood. And they both have full liquor license. Here at this location, there will be 22 tables, 56 seats. There'll be an L-shaped bar adjacent to the entrance. It's 17 feet by 8 feet with 7 stools. So they're basically keeping everything as is. The kitchen, it's just a touch-ups here and there. There'll be the paintings were done on the wall, but no changes on the structure-wise or table setting-wise as well. There's a basement which will be used for storage use only. It's maximum of 74 persons on the first floor. Now, right now they're looking at 11:30 to 11 p.m. But at most in the summertime, 12 midnight at most. So it'll be always on or before midnight. But right now they're looking for 11 p.m. closure. Background music, no outdoor seatings, and I met with the West 47th and 48th Block Association last week, and Ms. Elk, they had some questions, and I was able to answer their question as well.
Right. So I have a question about the closing hours, because your form has 11 p.m., but you seem to say you might want to be open till midnight, which is also what you told the Block Association.
Yes, in the summer, if the weather permits and the business picks up.
Okay, so you want us to change the form to midnight close, correct?
Yes.
Okay. For the committee, what was there previously, which was this Chinese restaurant room service, they had a 1 a.m. close. And the 47 48th Street Block Association said the applicant explained they'll close at midnight, background music only, no plans for outdoor seating. And considering this, the Block Association does not oppose the liquor license, which is, I think you've heard from me before, the do not oppose is as positive a response as the West 47 48th Street Block Association gives to anyone.
Okay, thanks, Frank. Anybody from the committee? No questions, comments? And from the community, Nellie?
There's no one.
Not yet. Okay.
Look, I'll make a
Who made the
motion.
last resolution? Is someone else?
Okay, I don't make a motion.
I'll make the motion. Motion to
Here is
approve.
it.
Thanks.
I'll second
Ed.
it.
Okay, we want to just share the responsibility. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Present not eligible, abstaining. Okay. We're done. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Good night and good luck.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Wait,
Thank
wait,
you.
Motion to adjourn.
one minute, wait, 1 minute.
Wait. Christine has a hand raised. Do you want to tell us about what happened today, Christine?
Exactly.
Oh,
So
good.
I went to the hearings, the city council hearings about the outdoor dining, sidewalk cafe, etc. And we have already written a bunch of letters about that, but and it took forever, obviously. A lot of council members were there, and they were all asking a lot of very pointed questions about how things were going to work. And they all were raising issues. And I didn't stay until the end, but our issues are carried by a lot of other people. I mean, what time they close, whether you can remove it, the sanitation, enforcement, all the things we have experienced are shared by all the other districts, I would say. And so the next step is going to be that. I learned about one or two things. One is that there is going to be a license, which is the process of getting the permit. And then there is going to be a consent, which is going to be something that really needs to be paid proportionally to the value of the space. So it's a little different from what was the Sidewalk Cafe, which was like a fixed cost for everybody. And they are also said that the structure are not going to be structures. They are going to be more like table and chairs and removable furniture, and with or without a cover on the top. And they are going to be much, much more lightweight than what we have now, so that they can be removed very easily. So that's the design they are going into that direction. So these were one or two things that have been, that I picked up. I think there is going to be a lot of pushback, and a lot of pushback on how to organize it and operate it and then manage it. And a lot of that is not resolved yet. And also people raised the issue that, you are removing some protections, but at the same time, you are not telling us what is going to be in the final rules. And therefore, nobody's comfortable with that situation, something that we discussed in our letter. So that's what I learned. It was intense.
This was, thank you, Christine, thank you. This was hearings on proposed legislation, proposed council resolutions. And so where does it go from here?
Well, what should be happening is that there should be a vote, and then that vote gives the right to the Department of Transportation to create the rules. Presumably, from a procedural standpoint, the DOT cannot create the rules, because right now the rules belong to other agencies. So they need to have a resolution to remove guidelines from the city planning and remove them from DCA, Department of Consumer Affairs, and have a resolution which says now it's going to be DOT, and DOT, you go make the rules.
So this is not really about the rule making, it's about who makes the rules.
Right, more than that, yes, except that there were a little bit of rules which had been snuck in, like, why don't we make smoking in the Sidewalk Cafe acceptable? And that was snuck in the middle of that. And we said, no, I don't think we should. But, there were some things which were put in, which were a little, jumping the gun on the part of the industry. And then, but before it is passed, I think there is going to be a lot of back and forth with the city on what should be done and how it should be done, and maybe create a framework before it's given to the rules.
Did the zoning changes get made, Christine, or is that still in
Yeah,
play?
all the same, no change.
No change in the zoning, because
No.
the
Wait,
question
the
about
zoning-
residential.
The zoning that we reviewed, the zoning changes proposed that we reviewed
Yeah.
are still the one on the table.
Okay, but they haven't been enacted yet.
No, that's part of this legislation.
That's part of this?
That's
Okay.
part of this vote.
Okay, and this is a committee vote that has to go to the full council.
Yeah, it's a committee vote. I think it's a multi-committee vote.
Okay,
I
but
think
then
where
the full
there was the
council has to-
franchise and there was the DC. I mean, there were three committees which were, presenting together in a sense.
Just so everyone understands the zoning issue, current zoning prohibits outdoor dining on certain busy streets, on side streets, things like that. What the city wants to do is remove any reference, try to get all of the outdoor dining rules in one place, which would mean removing all references to outdoor dining from zoning. And the concern with that is that, zoning is pretty much an absolute protection against something happening. And thus far, rules like the DCA rules and so forth have been far from absolute. So there've been a lot of concerns about the zoning changes, but it sounds like some form of them may happen.
Yeah, I mean, and people did attack that concept that they were going to let Sidewalk Cafe be in a residential district. And that's a concern, obviously. If you are in a very residential street, in the middle of the street, you could have an outdoor cafe and an outdoor, installation, which could become noisy. And the second thing is that for transportation and pedestrian, there are a lot of areas which have been enlarged, where the sidewalk has been enlarged for the purpose of making more space for pedestrians. And, the developers got bonuses for that. And yet they are proposing to remove those constraints. And so that seemed to be inappropriate, because if there are not enough space for pedestrian, why remove those limitations? So that's everything which is in the pot right now.
Okay. Well, thanks for sitting through that.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions for Christine? Comments? Okay.
All right.
Thanks again, Christine.
Thanks, everybody. And we'll likely go back to 6:30 next month unless the agenda looks horrible, in which case we'll ask people about starting at 6.
Okay.
Okay, decently, 8:30. Okay, good night, everyone.